All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to Hobby Hotline. This is episode 335 of Hobby Hotline. I'm your host, Logan Ward, and with me today is the man known as a collector's dream, Orlando. Orlando, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great, Logan.
That's good to hear. And the man who needs no introduction, hobby pioneer and icon, my good friend, Dr. Jim Beckett. How you doing, Dr. Jim?
I'm fine. Maybe I'd like to be a collector's dream. Sounds like a good thing, Orlando.
Thank you, Dr. Jim.
Let's check out a few comments real quick here. We've from Stukes. He says, "Good morning. Watching the snow melt in Minnesota." So that's pretty good. Man City Brew. Good morning. Peter B says, "Hello, folks." Hodges. He gave a video like already, so I guess like the video if y'all don't mind. He says, "Hey, everybody." Got Larry Gitlin. Good morning to all my favorites. It's good to see Larry.
Mm-hmm.
Authentic Sports Car Dad says, "Cheers." Gordon says, "Aloha." So he's in, I believe he's in Hawaii. And let's see, we've got Mookie. There's old Mookie. He said, this is a dream team. Good morning, friends. Good morning, Mookie. It was good to see you at the National. Happy Sunday. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, he's in another time zone, so it's Sunday for him. Ruben says Orlando is looking like a silver fox male model.
Thank you, Ruben.
I'll have to agree with that.
Most interesting band in the world. Yeah,
exactly. Rondell says, "Hi guys, we're getting a lot of," and Ziggy's on here. Cheers, Dr. Beckett. And he also says, good day, Orlando. All right, so I think we're caught up for the moment. Really quick, before the show started, I went out to AI, and I asked AI to create a picture in Van Gogh style of the Hobby Hotline hosts, Dr. Beckett, myself, and Orlando. So this is what it came up with, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious. Let me find the picture. Here you go, guys. I don't know why it thinks Hobby Hotline collects rabbits, but that's what it gave us.
Look like triplets.
We kind of do. I'm trying to figure out who's who. I guess, Dr. Jim, you're probably in the middle there, and the fellow on the left kind of looks like Chris Harris almost. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. I thought it was funny. The other picture it generated was with a bunch of guitars, but I thought the bunny one was funnier.
Well, as collectors, we do go to rabbit holes sometimes.
That's a good one, man. I like that. All right, let me check some more comments, see where we are. Let's see. Rondell, he's on the bus from Florida to New York. Wow.
Well, wait a minute. That's Rocco's wife.
Oh, Ron. Okay, yeah, okay.
Rocco, because he's blind. he's the most famous blind collector.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And let's see, TD Sports, good morning. And Ziggy says, magic of grading. Okay. All right. So I guess we can get onto our very first subject this morning. And it's Topps Rip Night. So did either of you guys go to Topps Rip Night at all?
Not me.
No, I did not. Yesterday, I did talk to Aaron from AA Mint at the card show because he was there. And, he told me it was very busy, very big event. They had a hobby, like a trade night also and give away cards. He said it was pretty big. He's a local card shop here in Fort Lauderdale, near Fort Lauderdale. But I didn't attend, but I heard it was very big.
Yeah, it was a very big event here as well. Our RLCS is it's very narrow, but it's a very long building. and they were packed. They showed me some pictures. I wish I had them. I should have asked them for them, but they said they were packed. They said it was absolutely amazing. Just a huge turnout. So
Yeah, anytime Tops does stuff like that, I think it's great. Of course, awesome for the hobby. Hopefully it brings new kids into the hobby. Because kids will bring friends, and even friends hopefully don't collect. So I think it's always a great deal when they do that. I think they need to do more of that. Similar. It's kind of like a mini Fanatics Fest, this kind of thing. And there was some athletes in some of the bigger card shops I heard. So that's always great, to have the athletes involved and ripping packs with the kids.
Oh, I totally agree. Dr. Beckett, you have any thoughts?
Well, I just think it's amazing. It's a great activity anyway. But when you throw in some big time celebrities, I don't know how they even do the crowd control, because if they know in advance that somebody big is going to be there, it's just incredible. Again, you're going to come for the celebrities, and hopefully, as Orlando said, stay for the cards.
Yeah, I think it's a good bellwether for the hobby. You get to see a lot of people there. The people, the crowd. I think that's just just shows how strong the hobby is right now.
I had some guys come up to me at the last show that I know that I had no idea they were collectors. They've never said anything about it. Either they just got back into it and they were bringing their kids, and their kids were between 10 and 15. And it was cool. It was cool. They kind of showed up, tapped me on the shoulder, and I went, oh, okay. I had to get reoriented. But they were into it too. They'd been dormant and came back because they're kids. And some of the kids were Pokemon, but a bunch of them were sports cards too.
Well, that's great. I know that RLCS, they said they gave away some things, and they didn't have any celebrities or anything there. I guess it would have been nice if they had maybe some minor leaguers or something, but they didn't have anybody. But they told me the turnout was incredible. The store was packed like sardines. So I think that's, like I said, I think that's a good bellwether for the hobby.
So the hobby's always been strong when the admission fee is $0 and you're getting free gifts. So it's an amazing enticement, because we love stuff. We love swag. And so when it's pertinent swag, it's stuff that we collect. What's better than that? They could charge admission. They could charge admission.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they could, and people would still turn out. You're right.
Yeah. It's just a great family night. It's a great chance to just get out and do something with the kids,
Yeah, that's true. We had a card show that day. I wanted to go because I just wanted to experience one. I've never been to one. And I was I was just too tired. I said, the heck with it. I'm just going to go on home. But I hate now that I missed it. It looked like it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, they gave away packs of cards. I think it was there was a 15 card set of, all stars with parallels and stuff in there. So, for free, the kids are thrilled.
Oh yeah, the kids eat that up. I know when I'm at a show and some little kids that they come up, I'll find something to give to them, and they get so excited over just any kind of card. I'm glad to see that. That's really nice.
Yeah, I did something with Rich where we were talking about how do people spend their time in the hobby, and what's kind of the way you decide what you want to do in the afternoon or evening or whatever. But on an evening, you could go to the movies. That would cost. Yeah. You go to a ball game. That would cost a lot more. You could watch a ball game on TV of your favorite sport, or you could go to a rip night. I think rip night wins. It wins.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, my son, I think he's 35 now. He really didn't. He collects football, but he really didn't want to go. So that would have been nice to have gone with him, I guess. So here's a comment. Rondell, the hobby is in a definite upswing. Last show I attended had lots of young people and kids, and that's very true. I know that the last two shows we've had here locally, the attendance has just been off the charts, and it's, I have set up with a buddy of mine as a dealer, and they were two of the best shows we've ever had since we've come back to become dealers at the shows. So it's definitely strong right now, and I'm glad to see it. See, Ziggy's got a question. He says lots of criticism on Fanatics, distribution, retail breaks. Any thoughts? How different is this from past distribution to wholesale distribution like Blowout?
Well, number one, I'm proud of Fanatics for saying it, for declaring that. That's more information than we would get back in the old days. There was a perception that most of the product went to wholesale hobby distributors, and Fanatics has kind of indicated that they're moving away from that old model. And so if 40% is going to LCS, that's good. If 40% are going to breakers, that's just what it is. On the high end product, it may be higher than that. And 20% going to retail, I like that. You got to get some retail out there, but I don't want it to be mainly retail. I just want every card shop that wants to have access to these products can get it. If that's the case, then that's fine. I don't want breakers to be the primary mode of distribution. And it looks like they're moving that way because Fanatics has their own platform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have to agree completely with Dr. Beckett. The only thing I think is that you got to remember 40% to breakers, that's pretty much their Fanatics base. That's their marketing tool. That's their marketing end. And, those breakers are going to be hitting those hits, and that's going to encourage the retail sales and all the other sales. The problem with that I see is that the breakers tend to be the ones that raise the prices of the boxes or decide the prices of the boxes, which affects, just you going out and buying an average box somewhere else. But, for them, it's working. Fanatics, I think that's the way they're marketing their products the best. And especially on their own site, I mean, it's like a double duty marketing blitz, and remember, they're not interested in a lot of vintage stuff. They're interested in marketing the new stuff. And that's really what their focus is. What those cards are worth 4 or 5 years from now, they're not interested in any of that stuff. They just want to move product, print product, and go from that. And the breakers are the way to promote it the best. And it's working for them. But as long as we have access, I think that's what counts.
Excellent points, Orlando. I'm going to go even further in that when you've got breakers getting this product and changing the price of the product, Fanatics benefits
Right.
if the price goes up. And so, whereas in the old system with the distributors, the card companies sold the product to the distributors, and then the price floated, and they made the incremental, when the price went up, it was pocketed by the distributors. And so empirically, I think we can see if there's a good run on a certain product, the price is going to go up if demand is increased. And Fanatics now has figured out they're going to be cut in. Price goes up, they benefit even more because their Fanatics Live people are in their system. Mm-hmm. So it's insidious, and it's what you'd expect from a company that wants to 10x the hobby, and hopefully they're going to plow these extra profits back into reinvestment in the category.
Yeah, I think that's good that they let us know how the distribution model works. Breakers are here to stay. Love them or hate them. We're going to have breakers for a long time, for the foreseeable future. So just part of the current modern hobby. So yeah, I'm glad to see that. So let me catch up on a few more comments here. Mike Petty says Rip Night is cheaper, even buying an 8K box of Nebulas. Okay. Warren says hi. Ziggy, we really appreciate your comments, Dr. Beckett. Hope others are listening. Word, my LCS cannot afford Panini. Mike Petty says, give it all to breakers. They are the best. We love you, Mike Petty. Ziggy says, bingo. Got a lot of comments going on here. DR,
Yeah.
I would love to hear Dr. Beckett's thoughts about the tariffs in Canada and China and how they could impact the hobby. In fact, that's going to be our next subject, so we might as well go to that. The next thing we want to talk about is the tariffs for PSA. So that question kind of goes hand in hand with this. So PSA made an announcement, and I've got it right here. They're going to have tariffs on. They're not going to be accepting submissions from Canada, Mexico, China, I believe. So, some thoughts, fellas. Dr. Beckett, I'm going to go to you first.
The PSA, another brilliant move. The hobby loves scarcity. The hobby loves for people to be told, sorry, we're going to be doing, we're changing up the system. We're going to be restricting. And so you better get your cards in, or there's an opportunity because we're going to have some extra capacity. So I think PSA is a brilliant announcement because it's not that big a deal. Number one, I thought they had an office over in Japan. And so the Chinese could go that direction. Mm-hmm. The Canadians, they already have a submission center in Canada, so they're not really affected. And Mexico is not a huge market for PSA. And I'm sure they could drive across the border, even with Trump's tightened up border. You can, in Southern California, you can get across the border. So I think it's something that's going to blow over. It's allowed PSA to grab the spotlight, that they're being proactive in a way that causes you to think, hey, how's this going to affect me? Maybe I need to get some cards in there and all that. So I think it's another good move from PSA for it's kind of like industry leadership. The tariffs are coming, and here's our response to it. So, I wish they were this forthright on a lot of things, on everything, but on this issue, they've taken the lead, and good for them.
So, Orlando, you got any thoughts?
Well, I mean, when you think about it, it doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect anybody here in the United States, for the PSA part of it. And so, and that's where the majority of their customers are. But like Dr. Beckett said, there's ways around it, but overall, the entire tariff situation, I think between Canada and I really feel that's just going to be temporary. I don't think that's going to last for very long. It may only be 30, 60, 90 days. We'll see what happens. But for the most part, people will work their way around it and figure out a way to get things done and not have to pay some massive tariffs and stuff like that. With the products and stuff that are coming from China, I mean, last time around there was a tariff on China, and China absorbed most of the tariff, products they were sending to us. We'll see what happens now, but I mean, we're talking about, what products from China, top loaders and things like that. It's, what I'm thinking, and the plastics probably, but there'll be a way to get those plastics made here in the United States, or somehow, some way. I'm sure that that's something, eventually some business people will take advantage of certain things like that, and and do what it takes to make some money somehow, some way. Maybe produce them here. But I don't really think it's going to affect us that much. And some of the ones, especially from Canada, I think those are going to be short term.
Oh, I agree. Now, I did do some looking around, and I did not see any other grading companies talk about tariffs. I didn't see Beckett talk about it. I didn't see CGC talk about it. None of them said anything about the tariffs. So PSA was the only one to do that. Are they affected, you guys think, or no?
I don't think they're that affected by it. I mean, I think they're doing more than 1 million cards a month. So I don't. And Ryan Stasinski is tracking. We'll see if it goes down in the next month or two. I doubt that it will appreciably, because again, people are going to say, hey, there's an opportunity. I can get a better turnaround when I send in my own stuff. Now, I visited over at Fanatics a number of weeks ago now. I'm just telling you, they aren't the only one, but they were already anticipating this. They have a huge operation there, and I got a tour of that. And looked around. They are every major business in this industry should have and probably did anticipate this, because we've known it's been coming since the election. And how it finally works out, I think the bark will be worse than the bite. But most of these companies, including my old company, I'm sure ordered ahead and stockpiled some things that were from those affected countries, because you already knew. I mean, it was. Yeah, so at any rate, it's going to blow over, and yet it's good to have more than a single source for some of these products. If you're a single source, just like with COVID, when shipping got way behind, it messed people up. I don't think they're caught with their pants down anymore. I think people have ample, slab stock, whatever it is, the plastic holders. They can't afford to be short. I mean, it's too important to their business.
Yeah, I'm sure that they've stocked up and they're probably sitting on pallets of slabs right now. And I don't think it's going to affect them very much at all. See, Ziggy's got another comment. Retail values will be impacted by tariffs. A case of Prism for 10K will cost more. Makes breaking cards and ship my cards look the best option.
Well, the other thing, and I'm not sure about the case of Prism, that I will say this: it's an excuse for companies to raise prices, even if they're not affected by the tariffs. There's some tariffs, so I've had to raise my prices 10%. But again, this is a market that's driven by demand and demand in the secondary market. If the price doesn't stick, but a lot of times the price does stick. But I hope it doesn't. If people are overcharging for things, say no and wait for the price to go down. And unfortunately, it doesn't usually work that way.
You got any thoughts, Warren? Excuse me. Any thoughts, Orlando?
No, I think he said it all. We'll wait and see what happens. I mean, we may not be talking about this 2-3 months from now.
Yeah. The hobby has a short-term memory anyway. So yeah, probably so. All right, so I guess let's catch up on a few more comments. Let's see, we've got Sammy Thunder says, "Good morning, everybody." He's glad to finally catch the live stream. It's good to have you on, Sammy. And Warren says, "Same here, Sammy." And then Mookie's like, "Warren, Sammy, yeah, there you go." So a lot of highs going back and forth, hellos. Yeah. DR says, "It feels like it will impact the hobbyists versus So yeah, I mean, in the end, it's always going to be the consumer that pays for it, no matter what. It seems like. DR also says it feels like it will hurt the hobbies more than the business. Yes, for sure. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, the business is going to pass on the cost for the most part.
Oh yeah, that's the way that it always.
Yeah, or try.
Yeah. Cooter says it's going to be a loss of disposable income that impacts the hobby, and the lost consumer confidence as the volatility in the markets. Cards don't feed families. That's true. I mean, I use discretionary income and extra income to buy cards. I don't use my money to pay my electric bill to buy cards. Tariffs hurt consumers, not countries. Historically, yeah, that's very true. Hey, Mookie, a lot of comments going on. This is great to see the chat very active today. Ziggy says, Whatnot has declared themselves a platform like YouTube and will not monitor sellers. Should Fanatics Live get more credit for actually having standards and monitoring? Yeah, that's another big thing. I think Whatnot said that they have discontinued the replay of their live streams, so you can't go back and see if anybody's doing maybe something shady or something. So any thoughts on that, guys?
There's a battle, guys, and the battle between Fanatics and Whatnot. I wouldn't bet against Fanatics. I mean, they control the distribution. It's not that they have standards and monitoring as much as they can enforce them. They have the big stick. So if somebody in Fanatics Live gets out of line, they got to toe the line. Whatnot is going to look like a renegade platform.
Yeah, Fanatics, and definitely Fanatics has more to lose. If they do something bad happens on their platform, because their tentacles go everywhere versus just Whatnot. So it's they're going to keep a good eye on these guys more than I think Whatnot. It's like Dr. Beckett said, Whatnot is more kind of like they're out there.
Yeah, they don't have quite the standards that Fanatics has. So yeah, it's I see Fanatics probably winning that battle probably. Let's look at a few more comments. Great hobby community. Gordon says, where are the tops and Panini cards manufactured? We know the top loader sleeves and sheets are made in Asia. Well, I know for sure that the cards are made here in the U.S.
Yes.
A lot of them are in Dallas in Dr. Beckett's backyard, as a matter of fact. And then I know Panini, since Topps and everybody, they control the printing facilities. I know Panini has gone over to some other printing facilities as well. So all that stuff is done here. So
the more complicated it is, the more it's done in the U.S. If you're just doing, supplies, that's a brute force mass, production line thing. Whereas the cards, especially modern cards with all the different game used autographs, insert ratios and stuff like that, that the assembly of that is really complicated, and it's valuable. So, to have controls and to do it, like you said, in the backyard, it's actually in my side yard. It's not my backyard.
Yeah,
very few printing plants can print cards like this.
Well, they can print them, but they can't do the specialty stuff.
Exactly.
The basic ink and color on cardstock, lots of people can do that, but even the guillotine cutting or the laser cutting and the insert ratios, it's extremely sophisticated.
Yeah, there are many layers to creating those cards, to get all the shininess, to get all the different patterns and all the things that go into it. It's a very complicated process. It just takes, like I said, it takes many steps and many layers to get that done. So, and Dr. Beckett's exactly right. Not everybody can do that. I think Panini, it was a challenge for them to try to find other printers that could do what they were doing previously down in Dallas. So that's a big part of it for sure. And I know the pack out facilities are also, I believe, in Texas as well, where they pack everything out. So all of that is completely done here in the good old US of A. So I'm glad for that for sure. So a few more comments.
I have a theory that there are enough penny sleeves, top loaders, and card savers in the universe already that if none were ever made, if they just were redistributed, think about the grading companies. I think they're dumpstering all the card savers that things are submitted into. If things were recycled, I think we'd have enough for sure penny sleeves and card savers, top loaders. We've got enough. Just don't throw them away. Just recycle them or reuse them.
Yeah, I've often wondered what happens to all the card saver ones and all the penny sleeves that I send to PSA.
I think they're ground up. I think they're ground up and
dumped. They're basically, think about it. They 15 million cards a year they grade. Look at how many penny sleeves. 15 million, at least just that. Tons. That's tons of stuff. It could be recycled. Who knows? Maybe one day.
Yeah, I would like to see PSA maybe, reuse them, maybe even resell them. I don't know if that's even a thing, but it would be nice to have them recycled in that fashion.
Well,
Maybe buy a penny sleeve, cheaper. I don't know.
I had a friend that was involved with reverse logistics, and it's basically after stuff. It's like this. And the problem is the cost of sorting them out or dealing with them is more than the value of what they would get if you pulled out the nice ones, or any processing of it that's not mechanized is not worth it. So just put it in the dumpster, move on, because that's not their main business.
Right. I tell you what I would recommend.
Yeah, if they said, I'll give you $100 for the dumpster full of the used card savers, they'd say, sure. And then you'd have to get a truck and you have to get them out and all that stuff. And, we'll see.
They can donate them to Goodwill, and then maybe Goodwill can sell them out, and whoever buys them sorts them. I don't know.
It just seems like a huge waste to me to waste that many penny sleeves in card savers.
Yeah, but if the tariffs were 100% on stuff from China and they're doubling overnight, then show me that dumpster again.
This is true. Yeah, I'd definitely be a dumpster diver for sure on something like that. A lot of comments. Whatnot is nothing like YouTube. Strange comparison. Very, very different platforms. And that's very true. Let's see. Ziggy it's good to see Ziggy out there. Rip Knight, debut patches, player involvement. The hobby is strong and growing. I applaud fanatics. They butter my bread. Yeah, the hobby, I agree. The hobby is strong, definitely, for sure.
Let's talk about the debut patches.
Yeah, that's a good segue into debut patches. So recently, the Associated Press printed an article about the debut patches and how the young players are trying to collect their own patches. And I thought that was a really great article. I'm sure you guys have probably read it. Dr. Beckett, what did you think about it?
I think it's positive. I mean, again, it's in the news. It's anything that's in the news that's positive like that is good. And anything that's getting the players talking about the hobby, involved in the hobby, participating in the hobby, that's all good. That's all good. I mean, this is a dream come true. If you think 10 years ago, to imagine that collectors, that players would be collecting their own cards, other than Giannis Antetokounmpo, who was surreptitiously doing it. But these young baseball players, I think it's awesome.
I think it's one of the best things that's happened in the hobby. Not only the debut patches themselves being an incredibly great idea, but just to have the athletes not only become collectors, but these are people that the fans look up to. So a lot of kids that were not collectors saying, wow, Paul Skeens is a collector. I want to be a collector, or I want to look into that, or I've never seen that. So I think all of that's going to just draw people in the hobby. And like Dr. Jim says, anytime you're in the national news in a positive way, the card hobby is, I think it's always great news. And the thing with the debut patches is that, we're getting more and more every year. And Logan, we talked about this before, that there was 91 the first year, and this year there's 251. So that also gives us collectors a chance to pull one out of a pack, other than just the few that they had. And I think they're going to expand that and further, have even more and more players eventually. I just hope they don't go all the way and start getting college guys or high school patch cards.
Well, you can have opening day patches each year. There's lots of things they can do with this, but most things in the hobby get beaten to death by repetition. So I hope they'll exercise some restraint, but it's a wonderful concept.
It definitely is. And I was looking at eBay, looking at some of the recent sales, and this may be kind of hard to see, but you can see some of these, even the non-Paul Skeens debut patch. I mean, there's one for $10,000 for it's hard to see. It's like Landon Knock, but you can see some of the sales. I mean, 6,500, 6,000, 54,999. So it's pretty strong. for just even the regular player patches, not even talking about Paul Skeens.
Yeah. And the other thing that's doing, I think it's redefining what the best card of that player will be in the future. I think that this patch card will be their best card. So sometimes you don't know with all the rookie cards, everything being out there. Of course, it's going to be the top of the high end, but I think that's going to be the best card of each of those players.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah, and I like the fact
until the next big thing.
That's true what it is. Yeah, there's always a next big thing.
Yeah, I like the fact that some of the families have secretly been getting these cards for their player relatives, and I just think it's really neat. They've been giving them to them for Christmas and for birthdays and things, and I really like to see that. I think that's really a great thing. Try to catch up on some more comments here. Mike Petty says he thinks PSA, they are recycling. Less than 1% of their plastics is recyclable. The rest is landfilled unless they incinerate, which is 10 times more expensive here in California. I'm sure burning anything in California is not an easy thing. Rex, he says those distribution numbers are not correct. They take into account all the DTC sales from Topps and Fanatics, or online sales from the big three.
So, both are right. I think I'm not sure those. Rex's point is well taken if that's the case, but I think the numbers were not were for hobby pack out product, not for the whole industry, but not for other companies, and not even for all of Fanatics business. It's just that when they produce a hobby box or a box of cards, a box of unopened product, where does it go? 20, 40, 40. The direct to consumer, the Topps now and all these things, that also is a huge business. I'm sure double digit, it's certainly double digit in profits. But I think their point here was just to break out those three things, that retail is smaller, which I think is good. Because, when we got into problems with the junk wax era, retail was a big part of the problem.
It sure was. Yeah. It was literally everywhere. You could go anywhere and buy it. It was just incredible back then. Oh, I like what Mike Petty says. Breaking news: Hobby Hotline reaches an all-time high, and not mentioning Wimby, 35 minutes in and counting. Oh boy. Ziggy says pink cancer patches are coming, and they will tie into the cancer charities. That's actually would be a really good thing. I think that would bring a lot of awareness, and you probably see some good prices for some of those patches. Mad City says, how many one-on-ones can a player have in a year? Way too many. There are a lot of one-on-ones, no doubt. That's makes you think about one-on-ones. Mad City Brew says 2 to 3K at Mad City Brew. Sounds about right. Abel in Vegas. It's a hard ratio to determine if some hobby shops who get product should go to group breaks versus selling the box into one person. So, there's a lot of opinions on that.
Yeah, because a lot of shops now do breaking also. So it's.
Well, but again, once it gets to the if Fanatics is just saying what they did, they sent 40% of their product to LCSs and 40% to breakers. Most of that's probably Fanatics Live, and then 20% to retail, which is, so I thought the numbers were encouraging. Mm-hmm. But what people do, whether they break it in the shop or, like Jaspy, my old buddy, they've got a shop, but then they've got a huge breaking operation. Which does that count as? It probably counts as a breaker, but they do have a physical card shop now too. Jeff Wilson, Cards HQ, same thing. They have a card shop, but they're doing a lot of breaking.
Yeah, I stopped there. I went to Val's house earlier this year, or actually last year, and on my way back from Val's, I stopped at Cards HQ. It was an impressive place. They've got all separate booths where people can do breaking. It's really an incredible facility. You know, love him or hate him, it's a great card shop. I love the way they display the graded cards. They have boxes, you know, behind glass cases, and you have to ask somebody to go, "Hey, I want this box," and they'll come and unlock and give you the box. I mean, I liked the shop. I really did. I had a great experience there. So
What's more important is Fanatics likes the shop.
Yes.
If
yes,
they don't
do.
like your LCS, if it looks like last century, then that's you're going to have to upgrade, I think, to be in Fanatics' good graces, because they believe that that's how we're going to 10x the hobby by increasing the eye appeal of the hobby.
Yeah, it's a lot about the consumer experience for sure. I mean, because I was impressed, you know, walking in there. I mean, when you see it from the outside, it's in like a shopping center kind of thing. But when you go in, you forget about where you are. You're just enveloped into this experience of trading cards, and you've got a lot of like-minded people there. And the place when I went there was absolutely packed. I could not. It took a few minutes for me to flag somebody down to say, "Hey, I want to buy this box of cards right here." So, you know, that's a good thing for them, and it's a good thing for the hobby. I really, like I said, I enjoyed the experience. So, a few more comments. Oh, Mike Petty's glad to see you laugh there, Dr. Jim. He said he made you laugh. He said he can quit trying now.
Okay.
Peter B says we are in the junk 1 of 1 era. I don't know about that. There are a lot of 1 of 1s. I mean, even for what I collect, I'm a racing guy. There's a tremendous amount of 1 of 1s created by Panini, but still, I get excited when I get one. So I'm not gonna complain about it.
I will tell Peter B that we are in a junk slab era, because there's a lot of cards that aren't worth the slab that they're in at this point.
Oh, that is so true. I know that at the last card show here, a buddy of mine and myself, we bought a lot of 63,000 cards, and there's some junk wax cards in there, but we found some gems in there. But when you look at the prices for grading, like a PSA 10 is, you know, say $150, then a PSA 9 is like $10. It's not worth taking the chance to grade that card. So, you know, it's in my buddy's going, we should grade it. I'm going, no, I don't know that we want to grade these, because, you know, they're probably not worth grading.
You know, we talk about there's not that many complete set collectors anymore, and that's true, but there's also not people that anymore, because of 3,000 1 of 1s, they can't say, I'm going to be a super collector and I'm going to get all the 1 of 1s of any player, even an obscure player. It is, I think, literally, it's probably virtually impossible, because one person. And so it's changed the thought of collecting, that I have to have everything, that I have to be complete. Which is, I just want to have a great collection, and I want to add cards that I like. But it's just, if you're a perfectionist, you're just freaking out because you can't get all 3,000 1 of 1s of your player, even if you had the money.
Yeah, for sure. A few more comments.
Even the player, if a player says, you know, I am a serious collector, I'm going to get all of my 1 of 1s, and so anybody's got a 1 of 1 of me, they can bring it to me, and I will autograph. I will give them some swag. I'll give them a jersey. They can sit in the suite with me or whatever. You know, I'll hang out with them for a day. They still wouldn't get them all.
Never.
There'll be collectors that are trying to get a lot of their cards. They won't be able to. So it makes the idea of a quest is, it's not just find it. You got to find it, then you've got to work out a deal. And some of these things are not for sale.
This is true. I've got several 1 of 1s. I've got some Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Senior 1 of 1s that I've had a lot of people say, hey, I want to buy those. It's like, hey, you're not going to buy those because I'm not selling them. You know, it's just not going to happen.
and you'll probably never sell it. That's going to be one of those cards that are going what I call the black hole. They go into someone's collection and they never come out.
Well, my collection, I guess you could say that's probably a black hole because I rarely sell anything. So when it comes in, it's like the Roach Motel. They check it, cards check in, they don't check out. So let's see here. Abel in Vegas, he says Burbank Sports Cards is going into a major expansion. Yeah, I've heard about that. They took over a Walgreens location. Let's see how innovative they get with that space. Yeah, it'll be nice to see what they do with their new space. I don't know if they're going to try to mimic Cards HQ or not, or maybe have some of their own new ideas. I guess we'll see what happens with that. That'll be pretty neat to see.
Well, there's 3 components, 4 components now. So the one component that Burbank has mastered is to be able to buy in their shop. They have a line out the door. They take appointments to buy cards. Another area they have that's state of the art is unopened product, and they have multiple walls of unopened product. And then the third is the showcases of single cards and stuff like that. The fourth, what Jeff Wilson has done, which Rob will undoubtedly be doing, is the recording studios. And maybe even a fifth thing, which is a trade area or something where a congregating area, community tables where people could just enjoy the hobby and trade back and forth, just making it more of a community center. If he's got the room, he can do that. In the old days, he's just keeps getting bigger. But when you're in retail, every square foot or every linear foot, every cubic foot, whatever, has to return. And so I'm excited. I definitely want to see when he gets set up. I think I've seen all the iterations of his stores, and this will be bigger and better and very exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. I want to make a field trip one day out to his shop and to PSA. It's very rare that I get out to California or even the West Coast. I'm kind of down here in the South, but I do want to make that a destination to go see his shop for sure, especially the new shop. So, Dr. Beckett, looks like Sammy Thunder's got a question for you. He said he was listening yesterday to your latest GAOC with Mike. You discussed card shows. What caused the shift in card shows becoming more of a business model?
It's an excellent question, except I don't really understand it fully. I think card shows haven't many card shows have not shifted at all. They have the same business model of some admission fee and some dealers paying for their tables and showcases, signers coming, now with a trade night, which is another bonus. So I think they've just gotten bigger and more complicated. And they sponsors, in the early days, there weren't any sponsors. There were just mainly, it was the dealers getting together and paying for it. So I think I don't know if this is what Sammy's getting at, but it's sort of going to be survival of the fittest, because in Dallas, from year over year, the number of shows has doubled. And it's because of the success of Kyle's big shows. But now every one of Kyle's big shows has a smaller show the week before and a smaller show the week after, and sometimes multiple in the Metroplex. And I'm really talking about Dallas, not even Fort Worth. If it's Fort Worth, it's East Fort Worth. It's 45 minutes away. Within 45 minutes, I have 8 shows in the next 4 weeks. And so the business model is making your show stand out, having some reason why you have to be there. And Kyle's done that. These smaller, medium-sized shows, I don't know that they can all make it. You got to have great dealers. You got to have enough attendance to make it worth it for the dealers. And if you just have a token signer, that's not very exciting anymore. Mm-mm. So I'm not sure about the question, Sammy, but the evolution or this adaptation is important and generally good. And especially with Kyle, who knows what he's doing, he's doing other cities now. And so I guess the other thing is that they're more being, many of them, the successful ones, are being run by people with business savvy. In the early days, it was just a collector that said, "Hey, we ought to have a show in town here. Let's get together and have a show." But now these are full-time promoters. They know what they're doing. And like I said, they're part of the 10Xing. So I wish them great success.
Yeah, I think that's the key right there. You know, from the old days of just a bunch of collectors putting together a show where you could leave your table, walk to another table, and I mean, those days are gone. And what's happened now is that it's become a business, like Sammy said. If you don't run a show like a marketing person, you're not going to be successful. And, you know, collectors in the old days, you know, we were just collectors. You know, we try to get a bunch of friends and do whatever we could, but we're not experts. Now, these shows need to be turned over to somebody who knows marketing. For example, the Strongsville show, they contacted me because I did some video of the show, and they offered me a media pass. And I talked to the guy. This guy is a marketing professional that came from a big, you know, company. I won't mention the names and stuff, but he was literally hired by Strongsville Group to promote the event. So I think that's the part of the business that's you got to do, and it's taken over. You got to get some promoters that are going to reach out to different medias, different people, different ways to attract people to the show. And those are the ones that are going to be successful. The other ones are going to go.
Yeah, you know, our local card show is run by a collector. You know, he just does it. I guess he does it just to make some side money and, you know, to help the hobby. He's not making this into a business or anything like that. He just does this purely for the love of the hobby and, you know, to make a little extra money. He's not in the business of promoting card shows. So for him, it's just a little side gig that he does to help out the community. So that's how it works here.
Well,
so
he builds the business. It's way easier to have a chain of shows across the country than it is to have a chain of LCSs. The running a card show is easier than running an LCS. And so it wouldn't surprise me if there were continued roll-ups of promoters. You know, a bigger promoter is going to come in with bigger marketing budget and all that stuff. So if the Memphis show gets built up to 200 tables instead of 100 tables, then all of a sudden it's ripe for somebody poaching or coming in.
This is true. Yeah, he could sell the
I believe
right.
that'll happen, and it could be Fanatics. I mean, Fanatics kind of has stepped back to reevaluate doing shows, not just the fests, but I think they want to be in that part of the business too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't think there's any part of the business that Fanatics doesn't want to be a part of right now. So Mike Petty says that PSA will be doing something very special at Burbank Sports Cards, he's told. So that'll be interesting to see what comes out of that. Ziggy says he loves black hole collectors. We need more. How do we grow that group? I know that for sure as a racing guy, you know, I'm NASCAR, I'm not F1, but I've noticed that the F1 community seems to be more of flip, sell. It doesn't seem to be a community of I collect, whereas the NASCAR guys are more of collectors. So yeah, I agree. We need to grow that group for sure.
Well, what is vintage F1? It's a short list.
It's a very short list.
I mean, if you don't define vintage as being pre-72 or something, if you define vintage as, you know, last century, there's a lot of good racing stuff out there. So I don't blame the F1 people if there's not that many cards to go after. They can only go after what's hot right now. And but the sustainability of a hobby, and the reason why baseball is so strong is because you've got way over 100 years of history, more so than any other sport.
Oh yeah, for sure. But the thing that I do like about F1 is it's a global sport, and many countries have made cards through the years. If you go out on eBay, you'll see there are cars from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s.
Yeah.
But there's just not that many. And plus, these countries,
They're
a lot
not
of these
US.
cards got destroyed.
They're not American.
Exactly. So, but I do like that. I like to collect some Juan Manuel Fangio cards, and he's got cards, all over the world, and it's actually kind of exciting to see something new pop up that you've never seen before. So let's see here. Victor. Well, hey Victor, it's good to see you, buddy. He goes, I think Victor Wembanyama is a 10x better investment than Jalen Wells. And another comment here, Sammy goes, I would read about card shows in the late 60s and early 70s being more of collectors and enthusiasts coming together, stacks of cards from table to table. That's very true. I know Dr. Beckett can definitely speak to that.
That's true. First of all, Jalen Wells, even if he wins Rookie of the Year, I mean, people that think that you get these accolades and attributes, that's not the thing. You've got to be a superstar, and Jalen Wells is not a superstar. He's a really good player, and he might be the best of the rookies this year, certainly one of the best. So I would change that, Victor. I think Victor is 100 times better investment, except there's some downside there. I don't invest in blood clots. I don't think so. That's and what was the other part of it? The card shows. Yeah, it was simpler. And I would like to say that there were less thefts back in those days. But I think there were thefts then, just like there's thefts now. It wasn't grand larceny back in the day because things weren't expensive enough, but it was petty larceny, but it still stung. And now it's felony theft, I think, when people are stealing millions of dollars worth of cards. And so there should be greater protections, even with all the cameras. The cameras of the 60s and 70s, Sammy, were your friend's eyeballs. When you went to the bathroom, you didn't even cover your table. You just told the table next to you, hey, I'm going to the bathroom. I'll be back in a minute. And people could come and still look at your table, but if they tried to take something off it, your adjacent table holder neighbors were going to say, he'll be back in a minute. So it was self-policing. And I hope we still have that, because I think the camaraderie of being on a weekend at a show all weekend next to somebody, you ought to look out for each other.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've got a lot of comments here that we have not gotten to, and believe it or not, this show is almost over.
Oh, boy.
This hour has gone by very quickly.
We were going to talk about those two crazy sales of the. I don't know if you want to just mention that real quick.
Yeah, let me.
That Walt Disney Auto that they bought like a beautiful postcard auto which cost $4,000 or whatever. Yeah, I don't think that was it, but
no.
But they cut the auto, and they cut part of the auto to put in a card, and it just didn't fit. They kind of destroyed the Walt Disney Auto. There it is. They destroyed the Walt Disney Auto.
Yeah, that's and that card went for $15,860 with a buyer's premium. And to me, it just has no eye appeal like that.
No, it has the eye appeal. It's the eye appeal of one of one.
Yeah.
So show me a better copy with the better eye appeal. It is the eye appeal. It is. That's a cool card. Like I said, maybe, here's the thing. Maybe underneath in the laminate, maybe the autograph has not been trimmed. It's just only showing the part that they could show. Maybe the full autograph is there in the part of the sandwich of the card.
Yeah, well, It was a postcard. I would still rather have it in a postcard, which sold for $4,000. That actual one.
Well, what is
And
that?
there's an actual check.
Yeah, here's a check that was sold by Probstein for $5,989. I would much rather have the check than the card especially if I'm going to collect the autograph.
Yeah, like you said, you can get a postcard of Disney for around $5,000
Okay,
with
but
a beautiful autograph.
people like cards, but now what you pointed out is that when there's if it's Ty Cobb, that the width of that signature will fit Babe Ruth if he doesn't put GH Babe in quotes or anything. So if it's less than 2 inches wide, the autograph, it'll fit on a card, or maybe 2.5. But if you're dealing with a piece of 2.5 by 3.5 real estate, you can't take that check unless the signature is tight.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you just leave it as it is. But it's amazing. You just turned a $4,000 autograph into a $15,000 card. I'm with you, Orlando. I'm a purist, and I think as well, Logan. That this original stuff, especially when it's more unique, leave it alone.
Yeah,
leave it alone.
I saw one of one that was pulled out of a pack of Babe Ruth like that, but the Babe, half of the card was like blank, and then the Babe Ruth autograph was all the way in the top, almost right up to the edge, and it didn't really even look good, and that sold for way over $20,000.
Yeah. But see, if they made that a 2 of 2, or 1 of 10 or something like that, if there's more than one, you can gripe about it. But if it's 1 of 1, either want it or you don't. You can't wait for a better one. It's not as pleasing as you'd like, but it's still the bragging rights of a 1 of 1 of an iconic player with an authentic signature. Yeah, that's
all you need are two people that want it, and that's it.
And they're more than 2 that want it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, fellas, it's an hour and 2 minutes. We are in Hobby Hotline overtime right now. So
if you were John Newman, you would say we're just getting started.
Okay, we're just getting started.
But you're not.
But yeah, it's been a great show. Orlando, where can they find you? What have you got coming up?
My YouTube channel, A Collector's Dream. What I have coming up, I just posted the card show video that I just came from yesterday, the Palm Beach card show. And I'm working my way to Strongsville and hoping to do some stuff out there. I've got the media pass there, so I'll be doing a lot of video of Strongsville, the show, and the YouTube get together, so everybody can check it out.
That'd be great. So, Dr. Beckett, what you got going on?
I'm going to the show next weekend. So if anybody's there, just tap me on the shoulder. Actually, if you tap me on the shoulder, don't do it. Slap me on the shoulder. That's better than tapping me on the shoulder. Because if I get tapped on the shoulder, it could creep me out. So just punch me in the shoulder. And I'll say, oh, that's somebody from Hobby Hotline. But I'll be there all weekend pretty much, or maybe not Sunday, but I'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's always a good time. And I'll be always looking for good podcast guests and enjoying that still. So that's my main thrust of putting stuff out there. But thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks. And Dr. Beckett, I just want to let you know that when I take my dog for a walk, I listen to your podcast. And as soon as my dog hears your intro music, she knows it's time to go for a walk.
I thought you were going to say, as soon as she hears my voice, she knows it's time to go to the bathroom.
Well, yeah, maybe so.
Take that, Mike Petty. Okay.
Yeah. Dr. Jim, I want to tell you, I enjoyed your talk, not only with Mike, but also the last one you did with Mangini. That one was great.
Oh, those guys are great. Those guys are great. I mean, I want to not do only vintage, but I love doing the vintage with guys like that. It's terrific.
That's so cool. Yeah. All right. So with all that being said, thanks everybody for spending your Saturday with us. We appreciate your Saturday morning. Next week, we're going to have more of your hobby favorite hosts. They'll be on Hobby Hotline. And I guess from everyone here, we will see you folks next week.